Tonight's episode of Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show is brought to you by Kid Products, stick stoves and reflector ovens proudly made in Canada. Algonquin Outfitters, with 5 key locations in and around Algonquin Park to serve your backcountry needs. Salis Marine, keeping you safe on the water since 1999. Ostrom Outdoors, custom fit canoe packs and barrel harnesses. Badger Paddles, handcrafted canoe paddles made to order. And Novacraft Canoes, connecting you with nature in Canadian-made canoes since 1970. Hey, happy Tuesday evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode and another season of Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. Hopefully everybody is doing fantastic out there, both old viewers and hopefully new viewers. And you know what? Let's shake off the cobwebs here and get into a fun evening. I'm going to just be talking a little bit here before we bring Kevin on about why we're starting the season late and a whole bunch of other things that have had me really busy and not neglecting Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, but had me keeping it off to the side for a while. This past summer was just tremendously busy for both my wife and I and our entire family. We had all kinds of things going on, 99.9% good, weddings and just all the cool things that go along with it. And then, of course, by the time the last season ended there, I had to kind of reevaluate what direction I was going with the show here and with a bunch of other things. As many of you know, I am a business owner, and over the since COVID, anyways, trying to regulate a weekly live stream show every Tuesday is incredibly daunting when it comes to trying to put things together. And because of it, my actual business was suffering. I'll just say that not suffering, but it was my business was actually feeling the effects of it. So I had to really take a step back and just try to figure and make sure everything was going kosher and get everything back on track there. And that's partly one of the reasons why such a late start. I absolutely love doing this show. I love learning. I love meeting new people, especially all of you that in the chat there that I've gotten to meet many of you over the years. And it's an incredibly fun thing for me. So with that being said, we are going to be continuing on with the 6th season, but as you may have heard or may not have heard, the scheduling is going to be a little bit different. We're going to continue to be on Tuesday evenings, but it's not going to be able to be a weekly show at this time, just because I really need to I have to concentrate on the things that are most important. To me, this is important to me, but there are certain things that are much more important that I really have to tend to. I hope you understand that, and I'm sure you all do. You all have lives, you all have families, and whether it's work or business, these are the things that you have to concentrate on because they're the things that put the food on the table, right? And that's what we're going to do. So just to let you know, the best way to follow and to be able to know what is coming up with Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show is to follow my Facebook pages, either Canoehound Adventures or Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show. With those there, you will actually be able to, I'll post on there when a show is coming up. Probably going to be off after this week. There might be a show next week. If it pans out for me, there may be a show next week. But after that, I'll be off for a couple of weeks because we're going to Walt Disney World with the grandkids and my youngest daughter and her husband. And as I mentioned, family 100%, right? So that's all the cool things. But we are going to try and maintain doing the cool shows, the how-tos and, the informative shows. And we are going to continue to try and bring certain guests onto the show and just try to continue this Tuesday evening, the tradition of the Tuesday evening. 160 some odd episodes we're in now. And I want to keep it going. Let's at least try to shoot for 200. I still have the backing of some fantastic companies, as you've seen through the introduction video there. We've got all the regulars are still behind me here. They see the value in this, and as do I. So, I'm grateful to them, and I'm obviously grateful to the many the many of you that actually reached out to me and asking or checking to make sure everything's okay. Yes, everything has been great. Checking to see when the show would be starting and stuff like that. I truly feel humbled that you have all been behind me this whole time. So that's great. And it goes double fold. I'm behind all you because we all have this great passion for the outdoors, and let's keep that going. Let's really keep that going. I see a lot of very familiar faces or names in the chat there. I also see quite a few of you who have become channel members or have renewed your channel membership. Thank you very much. Hopefully that will help us get rid of that goofy little duck up in the corner. This show was actually supposed to have been 2 weeks ago. I lined it up with Kevin and we were actually going to have it. And then I run into some issues with StreamYard because they raised their rates astronomically, like by 48%, and that's American. So that there kind of put a crook in things at first, just to get things all going again and things like that. But if anybody knows of any streaming software that is a lot better than StreamYard or maybe a lot more cost effective, please do let me know. Drop me an email or something. I'm investigating a couple. But it'll obviously include a lot of different changes because this is a really user-friendly platform, but I have to learn other stuff. But anyways, neither here nor there. I do want to start the season off by wishing everybody a happy fall. And you know what? We're getting into the shoulder seasons now, so hopefully everybody's getting in their last canoe trips, kayaking trips, hiking trips, whatever it might be. Enjoy yourselves and be safe out there. Let's take a dip, everybody. Nice hot coffee my wife just brought down for me a few minutes ago. Anyways, we are going to try to shorten the show up as well. 2 hours sometimes does get a little long, and especially when 2 hours turns into 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 25 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We're going to try and keep ourselves a little more on a leash this time around to just, make your evenings go a little quicker and make things a bit more friendly. And with saying that, let's bring on tonight's guest. Everybody, I'm sure, has been following this fella throughout the summertime. He has gone through a lot of life changes and been very busy. Let's just welcome to the show here, good old Kevin Callan.
Hello.
Oh, that is the cutest little cup. Cheers.
It's dollar store special.
How the hell you been, man? It's been a long time.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've been in the woods a lot. I've been sleeping in the woods a lot. I know owl hoots more than I do honks of the horn.
Owl hoots rather than the honks of the horn.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
And is that going in your next book?
That's a good title of a book. More hoots of the owl than honks of the horn. Gotta write that down.
You could just watch back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as I mentioned, you've gone through a heck of a lot of changes throughout the summer there. Like from when we had you on at the season finale, you sold house, some mega trips, some really cool hiking. Let's start at the beginning, man. How'd your summer start off?
Thanks a lot, Dennis. I was getting over it, and then my counselor said, just get over it, but then hope nobody brings it back. And sure enough, you did.
Sorry, dude. Hey, people want to know.
No, everybody deals with this. It's just not me. Everybody deals with this. Yeah, in a nutshell. I'll do it in a nutshell. And it's all good, actually, to be quite honest. For 35 years, taught part-time at the college, at Stanford Lakeland College, and taught species ID, environmental issues, whatever. For a couple of decades, I'll also started teaching students at risk, that actually high school guys that weren't doing well in high school. And then I taught them outdoors my topic for college, and if they pass, they'd go into post-secondary and get a high school, and like 97% of them did that. It was amazing. And then last year they announced, the college announced, we're cutting over 80% of the programs, most of them at the Lindsay campus, that being the ecosystem management students program, the conservation officer program, the outdoor adventure program, all those programs. And I still had a job. So everybody thinks I got fired, but I still had a job, but they only give me 4 hours instead of 12 hours of teaching. been there for 35 years. And they said probably you'll get bumped after that by a full-timer because the union will protect the full-timers instead of the part-timers. I get that, whatever. I don't get that, but I get that. And so I quit, actually. So I did not get fired. I did not retire. And the college says I retired. Whatever. I don't have a pension. Anyway, I quit. And then I thought, okay. But a lot of people don't know this part. At the same time, my publisher was not paying my royalties owed to me. So if you ever saw me at all those shows, selling all those books and doing really well, and Top 70 Canoe Route book was doing really well, was a bestseller all through the pandemic. So it wasn't what they weren't selling, is that the company itself was not doing well. So I did not get any money. So when you saw me at all those shows working my buns off, I had no money. So I said, okay, well, let me put this together. So I got no money, and also have a partner living 2.5 hours away from me that I've been all the busyness. And then on the weekends, driving to, near Kingston to go visit her. I went, enough's enough. Grow up, Kevin. And I sold my house as a safety net, and then moved in with Christine. And, she lives not in a wild area. She doesn't live on a hill looking over Chemung. So I said, we'll do this, and then we'll get a place together more in the wilds. And that's what we're working on. So here's the cool thing about it. Change is good. You should change your underwear. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And
after
so
4 uses, all right.
You can flip it over all you want, but you got to change. So I did that, and I am now a full-time happy camper. And I got to say, first of all, financially, I'm great. I've only been working on my own full-time. Like, I've always worked for my own. In fact, the majority of the time of my life, I did work on my own. It's just the college was always this money that came into my account that I knew I was going to get. And I love what I did. Here's the thing. I really miss my students, and that really hit hard. I was worried about them. They were at risk, or even if they weren't, even the regular students, that hit hard. It really hit hard that the environmental programs were being shut down. I thought the world's going to end. Zombies were going to, come and invade us. And then I thought, no, there's more than just me out there. So I talked to my colleagues and passed the baton, and things are going well. They miss me, but I think what's going on now, whoever made that decision will be probably go to hell. They'll probably, Lucifer will meet them at the gates, and everything will be fine. But I started in fact, the first thing I did when I moved here is I took a job. Explorer Magazine actually paid me to do what's called the Fraud Night Challenge. And I went, oh my God, I can't do that. I'm 60 years old. Yeah, well, that'd be great, Kevin. You got more time on your hands, so we'll give you some more money, because I write for them on a weekly basis. But they're like, we'll give you a little bit more if you do this, because it's a cool thing. So I did a 160-kilometer hike. To me, as a canoeist, it's the longest portage ever created. Yeah. If you're walking with a pack on, but I did that. But I started doing species ID along the way, and it just came out of my head. Because I was missing it. Every fall, I would teach. And when I was doing my YouTube channel, I would start teaching again. And people really liked it. Except YouTube told me, yeah, shut that down. It's funny. YouTube, well, it's not a real person, but YouTube sort of said you were not getting the views that you would regularly get from what you usually do. I went, well, that's good, because my YouTube was right. So I now had time to concentrate and do something that I really, really wanted to do. Right. So I did that, and everybody liked it except for the canoeists. And I even had canoeists saying, I'm subscribed to your channel for canoeing. Why backpacking and identifying species? I go, well, that's really who I am, but nobody really knows that, because that's what I really did for a job. Yeah. I'm rattling.
You had a busy summer. That's what I say. I knew, because I followed all your all the things you were doing, and of course you and I communicated a lot over the summertime and stuff like that too. And it's one of those things where, I obviously seen that with you leaving the college and the program that you were teaching, you were obviously very passionate about it. You have that nurturing way about you that I kind of felt that you were going to be missing that, because it's a part of you. right?
Oh, it really did. I really thought I would have a huge issue with it, but then I realized a lot of other people have dealt with the same thing.
Yeah.
Just not me, right? And it's like life goes on. A change is good. It's healthy. And then when I started seeing other people learning from me and getting passionate about it, I went, yeah, I love my students, but I'm still doing what I wanted to do. And I can't go back in time. I can't go back in time because to go back and teach 4 hours to some full-timer, I'm not knocking full-time people. I'm not knocking people who are PhD, but 35 years and all the bush time, whatever. And what happened was my colleague said, nobody knows the stuff that you know. I went, yeah, because I worked in it for years. And this new person coming in, they lasted a week and a half. They were done. The student said, who the heck? And I shouldn't even, sorry, I shouldn't be saying this, but they basically treated my students to be stupid. I went, really? Yes, they're autistic. They're on the spectrum. They have bipolar. They have past issues, whatever. They're the most intelligent people in the world. You just don't know how to teach them. But I got over it. Like really. Anyway, but the good thing is, first of all, Christine's loving it because she's now out at the movies with her girlfriend because I'm taking care of the dogs. So for once in her life, she goes, "You're not away? I'm out of here."
You see
that? We're done. And I love that. And then I'm doing a bunch of ventures. But I was in the woods a lot this year. I was in northern Quebec. I was in the St. Lawrence. I was along the Gaspé. I was in a Pasquay, like up in northern Ontario near the James Bay. I really have slept in a tent more than I have slept on a bed. So.
Well, that's good, and you know what? That's part of the rediscovering the Kevin Callan, right?
Yeah, I finally have time because in the old days I would do all that stuff, but then rush home or even do your show. Remember the days where I would do your show? I go, guys, I got to go. I got to work in the morning, and literally I was so out of shape.
But you never did leave.
No, I didn't. But I was so out of shape. Seriously, I looked at my life and I went, yeah, I love teaching the students, whatever. And I was in the woods with them for the day. But majority of my life during that job was driving. I would get up early morning because I would go to the schools, right? So I would go to Oshawa, and that was an hour and a half away. I would go to Uxbridge, an hour and a half away. I would go to Haliburton, an hour and a half away. And then I would come back and I would drive to Christine's, and that would be 2.5 hours away. And then I'd go back on Sunday and then exhausted and start that on Monday again. And I'm getting out there in sporadic moments, but in the last month and a half, I've lost weight, got in shape, and I'm 60. So it's not easy getting in shape when you're 60, right? But it's true, and mentally and physically, not just physically. It's funny I just said mentally first, but anyway, yes.
No, yeah, I was gonna say you are looking pretty good. You're looking pretty spry there.
No, not perfect, but I'm hurting though. My dad gave me in his genetics arthritis, and I have bipositional vertigo, and that hit me. But we deal with that when we're 60. Like it's a reality. I went to the doctor. I said, "Well, can you do something about this?" Well, here's medication. Drug yourself up, or I didn't tell you this, but drink more whiskey.
That's what I need to carry. Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of the trips that you did. What was the first big one? It was Quebec, was it not? That you did?
Yeah. Well, I did do my spring trip with my buddies in Algonquin. We did Ralph Bice Lake, and that was a little different. Goods and bads. One was we had to go later in the year because I didn't have to go to the Canoe Museum, but the Canoe Museum opened. And I was asked to go there and did a thing there, and I was honored to do that. But that meant we had to go after that, which also meant that the fishing was not as good. But the time was good. We had a great time. Actually, Chris from Novacraft, he joined us, and he caught his first lake trout. He was so excited. I caught nothing. Yeah, I was so fixated on him catching a fish. It was. But I wasn't disappointed. I was so excited. He actually also caught. So he bought a whole. He was on the phone with me one night before the trip. He goes, "Well, what do I need for this? Trout fishing." He had fished before. He had canoe before. He's a great paddler, by the way. But he goes, "I don't know anything about trout." So I gave him some things, and he spent I don't know how much money. And I looked at it, I went, "Oh, here's a rusted old lure my dad gave me, EGB. This will catch a fish." And that's what he caught the lake trout on.
No kidding. Eh?
Yeah, it was good. And then did a bunch of other trips after that were all sporadic because I knew what's going on. But the big one was Christine and the dogs and I actually got a job in northern Quebec, a pemmican. So it's a national provincial park. So the Temiskaming Abitibi tourism, they invited me and Christine and the dogs to go up paddling on Lake Kippawa and start at that national park. I went, well, I'll take the job. That's a good job. I go, so why? We're from Ontario and I don't really even speak that good of French. They're like, yeah, that's what we want, because they announced this year in Quebec, especially northern Quebec, that you were allowed to bring your dog. So I don't know if you know about this, but before that, you weren't allowed to bring your dog in the backcountry for many years. Yeah. And it was the Lezec group that actually that organized the Crown Land and stuff like that. They just didn't want dogs wandering in the woods because it was more emphasized towards hunting than canoe tripping, right? And so they changed that, but nobody knew that. So they go, can you go with your partner and the two dogs, like Oliver and Angel, and do a tourism bit? I went, yeah, okay. And I got to say, it was great. It was an easy job because they just said, do you?
Yeah,
that's fine. And so we went there.
We're going to give you some money.
That's
a dream job.
No, it was. No, Dennis, it was because usually I've turned a lot of jobs down where they'll say, well, we want to do this, but Kevin, can you not be silly? Can you not do this? I went, no. Actually, many jobs for that. Maybe that's why I've never made any money in my life. But they said, we want you to be you, and you and Christine and the dogs. And then we did the trip. Lovely people, no problems with the language barrier because they all spoke English there. They all were really nice to everybody. We had a lovely time, and it wasn't a facade. It was actually real. Very clean campgrounds and campsites, backcountry campsites. They're really clean. I got to say, Quebec, like Ontario parks, you got to learn something. People are going to knock me for that, but I got to say that the washrooms at the national provincial parks were absolutely clean. The roadside pullovers, which we really don't have much here anymore, but they do. And yeah, so what did he say? What? Oh, that Kevin Outdoors.
Can you go or can you go?
He's out of control. He must be living in northwestern Ontario. They're out of control over here. But yeah, no, we did that. The greatest moment of that trip it was a heat wave. So we had to continue on to Lake Kippawa, which is absolute oasis. Like imagine Lake Temagami, which I love, without the crowds and without the cottages and without the motorboats. And it's literally right across from Lake Temagami. And people don't go there because, I don't speak French. We had no issues whatsoever. And so the majority of Lake Kippawa is Crown Land. So we did stay at the National Provincial Park campsites for a bit, and then we went around the Crown Land sites. And typical, there was some sites were trashed, but majority not. And the fishing was unbelievable. But here's a story that I took out of my my YouTube video of it, and I hope Ashley, Speed Man, is listening tonight because I'm going to set it straight. So because nobody would get this story on my YouTube except you guys would get this story. So when I had a yard sale and I was moving and I had to make money, I wasn't desperate. I was like, oh my God, I got to move and I got to make money. And I had a yard sale and I literally almost gave everything away. Like things were going for nothing, right? But good old Speedo Man, Ashley, he came to help me out. He didn't come to help me out. He came to get a good deal. And I had these outdoor pants and a jacket that was well worth $600, right? And he goes, what do you want for these? I went, actually, you're my buddy. Like, I can't take money from you, but how about this? I've never had a good fishing rod in my life. I've always been cheap on that because they usually break on the trip anyway, right? Well, why? So I go, just buy me a really good expensive rod and reel. Okay, Kevin. So I gave him this like very valuable outfit. He gave me this rod and reel. I didn't even look at the name because I don't really know names of good price rod and reels. We're on that trip, and Chrissy and I are in the boat, and we see this blub, 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 these bubbles coming up. I go, what's going on? It was a heat wave too in the early morning. I go, are they walleye? Are they what's going? What, are they whitefish? I've seen whitefish do that. I go, well, I'm just going to cast right into there. And as soon as the lure hit the water, a fish grabbed the jig, right? And it was like a 6-pound smallmouth bass. It was massive, right? And all of them are like, boom, boom, boom. It was like sharks. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm reeling it in, and my line snapped. My rod snapped in half in 2 seconds. And I had that on film. I actually had it all on film for proof. But I looked at the camera afterwards. I showed that on film, but I looked at the camera. I didn't put this part in. I went, Ashley, you're the cheapest son of a...
He got the Canadian Tire discount, the little basket, right, where they got 400 rods and reels in there.
He did not give me a good, that cheap son of a... Oh my God, yeah. No.
Did you confront him on that?
I did 10,000 times over.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was just on a trip with them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
With the pal heads. That was a lovely time. We're going off in tangent, but you have to know these stories. They're good. So we go out for the pal heads, and every year for the last few years, we've gone on a fishing contest with pal heads, a YouTube video. Yeah. Great guys, young guys. And they're young guys with everything. Like they got the fish finders, the depth finders, they got fishing rods, whatever. But Ben from Pal Heads, now that I live near Kingston, I didn't know until I saw him walking down the road. He lives like 3 blocks away from the house. Right?
Oh, no kidding.
Really? But Ben. And then so I had this idea. I go, Ben, since I live near you, you and I should be the team. And then Ashley and Adam, the other guy, you should be a team because he lives near Peterborough, near Ashley. So they decided, yeah, we'll do that. So we went to Crotch Lake, which is North Frontenac Parklands, was an amazing lake. And we head out, and this is like, again, 2 weeks ago. So it was cold and windy and brisk, whatever. And, where the fish biting, I'm not sure. We head out, and I go out with Ben, and he goes, those guys are going over there. They got the fish finders. Where should we go, Kevin? I went, right to that point. And he goes, well, do you have, you have verification of that with the fish finder? I went, no, Bush Time says, the old guy says, could be a fish off that point. We go there, and 2 minutes later, I catch a pike. It's not a big pike. It's a slimy 19-inch pike, whatever. But we're going by size, not by species, by size. So it's a 19-inch pike. So nobody catches anything after that because the wind came in, and we're windbound. So I'm thinking, I'm winning. I'm winning the contest for the 19-inch slimy pike. And it's a trophy. We have a trophy, right? It's fantastic. Well, we clocked it at 6 that night because it was getting dark. So the contest was over at 6. At 5:15, those two decided to go out in the boat because it calms down a bit, and they head out. I went, and Ben and I, it's stupid us. We're like, we got it. They head out. He catches the slimy pike, 19 inches, same size. I swear it was the same pike. I went, we still got it. It's the same pike. We still got it. And then Adam catches a couple of good bass, but they're 18-inch. No, we got this. There's no way a bass is going to be bigger than 90 pike. 4 minutes before 6, Ashley catches a 21-inch bass, a largemouth, actually. You can hear him in the background. Woo! Woo! We get to shore, and you would love it, the scene. So Adam, his partner, is a metalhead, like a really tough guy, a good guy. It's just like he's a metalhead, right? What does Speedo Man do? He kissed him right in the mouth, like a mouse. I got on film, and you could see the facial expression of that man. Like, I don't want to be your partner anymore.
So you guys got really complacent. You lost 4 minutes to go.
Oh yeah. No, and you can't make that. You can't make that story up. 4 minutes before. Like, seriously, we're on the ridge watching them, and he catches a 21-inch bass 4 minutes before 6. And actually, you need to know, he's very competitive. And for him to win that contest, that will be on his mind to the grave. Like, he will go into the grave. I won the contest. I won.
Oh, that's funny. I watched that video, and I was dying laughing when they turn around. And then you guys had to eat some humble pie, and you had to make a drink, and
Oh man. Oh, the dinosaur costumes. Yeah. That was really
fun. Yeah, the dinosaur, the raptor heads.
Yeah.
So you had a big notable trip this year. It was the Andy revenge trip, I guess, the revenge trip from the once around Algonquin trip that you took him on.
Yeah.
Wow, man, where do we start with that one? You apparently had no idea where he was taking you. Was this in fact true? You had no idea where you were going?
That was true. So I'll tell you the whole absolute truth on that trip. Well, not absolute truth.
Go on now.
I'm writing a book about that trip. So he decided long time ago that we turned 60. It was his choice to choose the route and plan the trip. And you have to understand how crazy that is for me. I plan every trip. I write guidebooks, and that's my whole thing is planning, right? Mm-hmm. And when I did the Minas Link, that was my idea, I got to say. And actually, he did not check all my emails. He just showed up, and then maybe that's his fault. But he hated that trip, and halfway he goes, "I don't get this." I went, "I don't know. No, sorry. You did agree to be here." And so he did say, when we turn 60, it's my turn. And so I thought he would forget that, but he didn't. And we turned 60. No, and he goes, "Okay, get ready." And there's a whole bunch of things that were going on. One is that it was supposed to be a very long trip. It was supposed to be, I think, 4 weeks. But he all of a sudden sent me a contact and said, "Well, I did contact the First Nations people to go into their sacred land, and they want us out on September 1st, and because of their hunting rights." I went, and that's my first hint. I'm thinking, we're going really far north. I think he's talking to the Sandy Inlet First Nations, because I wasn't born tomorrow. I'm thinking, born tomorrow? No, born yesterday. Yeah. No.
You can't be born tomorrow if you want to be. Born again.
Yeah. I've been born again. And so anyway, he picks me up, and it's only 16 days I have to pack food for. So that's a good solid time, but it wasn't long. But it was also at the end of August, early September. We're supposed to go early year, but we couldn't. He was doing renovations to the house, whatever. And then I all of a sudden said, "Oh, Andy, I might have to sell my house because things are going weird." And so if we can get out, and then find out later, it literally was just before the trip, I sold my house. Like, I sold my house in 2 weeks. I thought nobody would want to buy that house. And actually, I love the house. There's nothing wrong with the house, but it's just, it is what it is. But I did. And then I went, "Geez, Andy, this is a really bad time to go to do a canoe trip." Well, we're going. So we head up, and during that time, remember the news, they were evacuating First Nations people in the far north near Manitoba and northwest Ontario because of forest fires. And that was the end of August. So nobody would expect that. I go, "Well, we can't be going there because they're evacuating people." So we're driving up, and the whole Instagram, if you ever watched it, great. We'd stop at one of those monuments at each town. And he'd have me blindfolded, and it was kind of a joke. Like, are
there going to be bears there?
Yeah. We had fun with it, but at the same time, I'm thinking, I have no clue where we're going. At one point, I thought we were doing the Mississippi. That would be a good option. Mississippi River, I would do that. Or actually, I was really hoping for the Pakasaw Coast line. I thought that they would be doing that. I would go for that because I've never done that. I've done a lot of Lake Superior, but not that. And we kept driving. I went, we're not driving to Woodland Caribou and Wabakimi because that's where we're going at that point. Because we've done that. Why would we do that again? I go, I bet you we're going to a Pasquay. And because nobody goes to a Pasquay. No, like it literally is like north of Red Lake, right? So we get there and we meet Gold Seeker Outfitting, and we stay there for the night, and they go over the maps and look over the fires, and they have to change the route option because the west of the park is on fire. And I'm like, I'm not liking this because I have no.
Yeah, you planned none of that, right?
And he goes, "Well, it's my Minas Link, buddy, not yours." Oh, you bugger. I'm not liking this at all. No. So we get in the plane, and at the point when we get to the plane, I'm thinking it's either the Sutton River or the Severn River, or it's not the Blood Vein. I don't know. And I'm guessing a Pasquay because we always wanted to go to a Pasquay because nobody knows anything about it. So sure enough, by the time we get in the plane, I'm thinking, I think I know where we're going. And he has to show the pilot the map of a lake to land on because the lake we're supposed to land on, we couldn't. And Sean, the pilot, I got to know him later on the trip. Amazing pilot. He goes, "Never been there. Doesn't even have a name." let's go. Name of the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, right? And we're in the bush plane. Could you imagine this? We're in a bush plane for 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's the longest flight I've ever done in the air. And when you're looking down, after like 20 minutes, you see some development, 20 minutes into the flight. After that, nothing except lowland tundra, right? And big lakes or small tributaries. And I'm like, where are we going? So then we're about to land, and the pilot, we have the ear things on, so nobody can hear anything. And he's asking me where we're going. I'm thinking, I'm beside him in the front, and I went, I don't know. And then I have to write a note to Andy, like, where are we going? And he sends it up forth. And at that time, I was high anxiety. You think about my life. I finished a career that I absolutely loved. I was selling a house I absolutely loved. I was moving on, but I'm not sure what was going on. A high anxiety type person. Anyway, I couldn't write a sentence. I was shaking. It wasn't a plane. Andy thought it was just the plane shaking, the engine. I couldn't even write. And the pilot goes, there? I went, looks good.
He goes down.
Oh, he lands. He goes, never been on here. Good luck, fellas. And then took off and went. And when we did that, I felt really good. You think you'd be high anxiety being dropped off the middle of nowhere. But I go, well, I'm in the woods. I'm okay being in the woods. I don't know this landscape. I don't know this area. I'm unfamiliar with it. I'm very uncomfortable with it. It is really far north, but it's not a busy city. It's not the 401, right? So I'm okay. And we even see some creature that I thought was a mink, and the mink had a white bib, and I thought it was an otter. And I don't even, to this day, I have no idea what creature it was. It would have been a small young wolverine swimming in the lake. I have no idea. I'm like, what is that? And I talked to a whole bunch of biologists I know, and they're like, we have no idea what you saw. So, but we made camp early, and then everything's fine. We were like, this is lovely. This is where, holy living God, hold on, grab a whiskey for this. So we wake up, and okay, Andy, like, where are we going? Well, I got this book. I even forget the name of the book. I should have had it here. And it's a good book. But he got, at the last moment too, like, we weren't supposed to be in this area because of forest fires. We went to another area of the park. There was a old book showing a canoe route through this one area. That's why we landed. We get to the end of it, and I kind of see somewhat of an area to go and start portaging, but then it completely disappears. And we're not talking about Temagami. We're not talking about Algonquin. We're not even talking about Quetico. We're talking about alder, lowland alder, a lowland black spruce. If you see a hump of rock, you're lucky to see the hump of rock, right? And we start heading through, and it's only a 230 meter portage that disappears completely. But we're bush savvy, but it takes us 2 hours, right? And then we go and mark it to head back and take our gear. And we get to a small pond, very, very small pond. So we head across a small pond, and then we go to look for the next portage, which I think was 600. And we mark it, and then it was like really getting late. And we're like, well, we're camping here. And there's no campsites up here. Like, you have to make a campsite. And I'm not talking about look for a site. You need to cut a site, right? So we do that, and we're like, So the next day we do that. That takes us the entire day to get to the next pond. So let's just say the first 6 days of that trip, we only went 4 kilometers.
That's unreal.
4 kilometers. Unreal. And I'm talking all day cutting, like, not just we're on our leisures, whatever. Well, one day we were so windbound and stormbound, we couldn't go anywhere. But the cool thing about it was the one day we get to the small pond, and it was actually, the last 600 meters. And then we get to a big lake, which was exciting because we could smell smoke, right? So if a forest fire did happen, there's no way a plane could ever land where we were. No way, right? So high anxiety me at night, I couldn't sleep. I was like, what, and
you get into.
yeah. And so, and I'm trying to, well, it was pretty cool. I think I was, but probably ask Andy to tell his version of it. But I was like, well, we are where we are. And then there's a moment where I said, we have to learn from the land, Andy. We have to learn from the land. We don't know anything about this landscape. And, there's no way that they actually went in this lowland area. They had to be up in the high rise, which there's no high rise. So I went up this one rock face, and I all of a sudden saw a blaze, but it was cut birch, but it was like 6 feet above my head. And we all both said, well, that can't be a blaze. I went, you know what? It is a blaze, but it was a blaze in the winter. This was a winter route. Those portages were winter route. Yeah. And that's a blaze up there. So if we go to the high rise, we'll get out of this alder and forget the GPS. And in fact, one part in the video, you'll see where we followed the GPS and it went like this. Oh, no, sorry. The GPS showed a crow's fly this way. Our route was like this. And what we did was we just kept up on the rock as high as possible. And yes, it was a lot longer, but we could at least walk. But up in the ridges were burnt trees because the forest fires are rampant. So there were jack pine, there was spruce all over the place. So it's like a giant had thrown its toothpicks all over the floor. And let's just say I lost 18 pounds in 8 days. And my knees were bashed all to hell. And there was one day where the mosquitoes were really bad, but it was snowing.
It was snowing.
Yeah. So that's a different place I've ever. But here's, I can go on and on about it, but I got to say, of the glorious part about it, I've never been, and I've been to a lot of places in my life. I got a lot. I've never been in true wilderness, but now I have.
Wow, that's now you had an instance there where you actually fell portaging the canoe over your head. How was your knee? Was your knee okay?
No, it wasn't portaging. It was actually after the whole nightmare getting through. We finally were like, we're free, and we're going down this creek that was no water. There was no water, and it was a river, but and the canoe buckled because we're lifting it over this rock, and I saw that. And of course, you do not want that to happen in the middle of nowhere. You need your canoe. Like,
yeah,
there's no. Please come and pick me up on the nearest road. And so I yanked the canoe, and I'm not a strong person, so I yanked the canoe out of that buckle, but the canoe with the current pulled my knee the other way. Mm-hmm. And I'm still going through physio for it. So it was just fine. I'm old, and it hurt like hell for a long time. But we still wanted to do the route that we're wanting to do. Like, we still had 120 kilometers left, and we only had 5 days left in our trip at this point. And finally, I was allowed to fish. Like, we had time to fish. Can you imagine being up there and not fish?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
The best fishing in the world. And then we're too busy cutting portages and wondering where we are. But we got windbound on the lake for 3 nights. And that kind of told us, hey, just stay put, man. Almost the nature was, the land was sort of saying, you have no clue what you're doing. Come back again when you're more knowledgeable.
Wow. Like you said, learn from the land, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did Andy apologize or what?
Oh, he has no reason to apologize. But because really, in one respect, I've done all the trips planning since the beginning of time, right? But yeah, so he had no need to do that. But and actually, in fact, I was interviewed today by another podcast about that trip, and they thought, did you get into any arguments? Like, well, no. There was friction of what we got ourselves into, but we had bush time. We were able to get out. And I think what happened, I think a lot of people back at Red Lake were worried about us. But then the outfitter said, no, Andy and Kevin's fine. They're old, but they'll be good.
Yeah, Jesus, that's crazy. I got a real kick out of some of the comedy relief there. Andy falling off his backpack, Andy falling off a log when he's sitting down.
Oh, those were stressful times too. Like I'll show you B-roll. Like, really, like when he fell off the log, that giggle helped us because we were not doing well at that point. Like we had no clue where we were. We were literally cutting with bow saws our way through, with bear crap everywhere. We never actually had any bear issues. And it was one of those things where all of a sudden he sits down and falls over. We start giggling. I go, that's the only way we're going to get through this.
There you go. Christian saying, yeah, you got to come up with a devious trick.
No, because I'm not going out, but I'm not going back out. I've quit. I'm retiring.
That's funny. That's funny. Really quick, I got to thank Christian for buying 20 memberships out there. Thanks, Christian. I appreciate that very, very much. As do the people that are picking them up. So that's cool. Yeah, yeah. So ultimately, how much travel did you guys end up doing on that trip? Because you said it was supposed to be like 120K. You obviously didn't do that.
No, not even close. Probably 30.
Really?
Yeah. By the time you think about it, I've to do the math about that. We did. But by the time we got the first big lake, we went like nuts paddling. Actually, there was one point too. It's funny because I was putting a spot device and he was too, saying we're here, we're okay. But people back home were like, well, they're not moving anywhere. And Christine was really good because she didn't panic because she goes, well, he's still not pushing SOS. I'm not sure what's happening, but. Yeah. And then we got to the first big lake. Finally, we finished that last 600 meter. I went, whoa! And I went to push a spot device saying we're here, so everybody knows that we're at least on a big lake. So if the forest fires come, the plane can land. And Andy goes, just paddle. Okay. And we talked about it later. I go, what's up with that? And he goes, I just wanted to paddle. We hadn't paddled for 6 days.
Yeah.
Right. And he just wanted to get and look at what we actually came here for, to paddle and look at loons, look at bald eagles, which were the dime of the dozen. Oh my God, they were like the rats of the sky up there. Jeez. Yeah.
So ultimately, he had no idea it was going to be like that.
Well, he didn't know that because, first of all, because we were forced to go to that area because the forest fires were burning in the area that he wanted to go. So, and even where we were supposed to go was non-maintained and non-operating. So we would have had a hard time there too. So it wouldn't been a piece of cake, but it was the night before we either stayed there and went somewhere else where the fires weren't burning or chose a different part of the park. Mm-hmm. And again, it was not my trip. So I said, okay. And he probably drove Andy crazy because I'm high anxiety. He probably went, oh my God, Kevin, just calm down. But yeah.
Can you tell us what the drive home was like?
It was fine. The only thing was about, because he really wanted it to be his trip. So he was paying for a lot of stuff. And recreational bear works, like he owns that business, right? So he wanted to be a recreational bear work trip, and he had new packs to try, and that's fine. I love that stuff that he does. He's a good friend of mine. So, but I want to know how much that plane was, because that was a long flight.
Yeah,
and yeah. So
what, $12 to $15 a mile they usually charge, right?
Yeah. So I ended up finding I guessed 7,000, but it was 9,000. And so I go, geez, Andy, that's a lot of money. And he goes, but that's the experience of our lifetime, Kevin. We turned 60. And but we found out later we could do it cheaper. So how we got out of that was we went to a lodge called Big Hook Camps. So it's the only camp in that park. It's a fishing lodge. And we end up, because we got windbound, we came back to that camp. And that's where we met our plane to come and pick us up by the end of the trip. I forget what day it was. It doesn't matter what day it was. It was long. Yeah. And so a plane came in. It wasn't a Beaver, which is amazing. You have to fly an old Beaver. That's amazing experience. But it was a longer plane with 6 people in it. And I went to Ryan, the owner, and I said, so what's up with that? How much is it to be here to go fishing? And they're all Americans, right? Well, I shouldn't say it, but when we were there, they're all American clients. And he goes, $1,200. I went, whoa, like $1,200 what, Canadian? He goes, no, American. I went, well, okay, whatever, but that's not 9,000. So I go, why is it so cheaper? And I go, you're talking about $1,200 to fly here and actually stay at the lodge and fish all week? Yeah. What? And I go, how do you do that? He goes,
all right.
Yeah. And he goes, well, it's just a bigger plane, so the cost is cheaper. And okay. So what if I didn't stay at your lodge for the week? What if I just flew in with you next time? Where would I get a canoe? And he goes, what's the problem? We can't take a canoe on this plane. A canoe would have to be there. But Gold Seeker that summer, had flown in 2 17-foot canoes for canoeists. So I went, whoa, that's kind of cool. So I Gold Seeker's figuring this out, that if you can get canoes at this lodge, you can fly in for 12, well, less than 12 hours, because you're not even staying there, pile that whole area that nobody's ever been. And hey, look, the portage is there because we clean them for you.
All right, yeah, freshly trampled.
Yeah. So yeah, would I go back again in a heartbeat? I would do it in a different way. I wouldn't do it. And that's my negative character. Like, I've always planned trips, so for me not to plan a trip, that just drove me literally insane. Actually, like bonkers for me to do that. So
you know, everybody was taking notes, on how to get in there cheaper now. Everybody in the
well, that's fine. Well, I would too. I'm cheap.
That's a big saving. So, what kind of plane was it? You flew on a Beaver?
Yeah, I forget the name of it. Turbo something. No, well, maybe it was an Otter. I don't know my planes, but I do know that the pilot Sean was being trained on that other plane. So, but you're not going anywhere north of Red Lake without a float plane. Or if you go winter, well, even then you're going in a float plane. It's all, even the First Nations Sandy Reserve that we flew over, it's all, you can only get there by float plane. Mm-hmm. So, that's the way of the world. But the thing is, the price of gas now, and I gotta say, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So we flew there. Sean, the pilot, was crazy, like a good crazy. Like, oh my Lord. He goes, do you want me to buzz you on the way out? Oh yeah, that'd be great. So we piloted out, and I got the camera ready, and he buzzed me like, whoa, that was good. And they contacted me afterward. He goes, did you get that on a camera? I want that. That's the lowest buzz I've ever done in my life. And this guy has flown in Hong Kong, Tibet, like all these places in the world, right? And I went, okay. And then on the way out, another pilot, I forget his name, good guy, he flew us out, and it was a longer flight because of the wind. And we were on the plane for a long time, and he kept looking at his watch. He kept looking at his watch. I was like, that's not a good sign. And Sean had taught me about fuel on the way there, because there was 3 fuel canisters and 3 fuel components, because one was empty. I thought we're all empty. He goes, no, we got 2 more up there and in the wing and back. Okay. So I looked on the way back. I looked at it and I was like, and we land, and the guy kept looking at his watch, and we land on Red Lake, and he goes, well, that's the longest flight I've ever done in my life, and I've flown a lot, and we just landed on fumes.
Oh crap! Oh yeah, I always wondered what kind of flight mileage those things get. It's like, holy crap, man!
Oh, that's an old plane. What was it? 1952? I think older than that. And there's only a few made. It was made for World War II, I think. Yeah. I can look at the history. Sean was great. He told me the whole history of that plane and how they love that plane. It was made for the North.
Yeah. Well, I was just watching. I started watching the video that John and Aaron from Lost Lakes have put out, and they were going up to Nunavut, and they got flown in, and John kept putting all these interesting facts on the screen, and the Beaver that they flew in on was a 1948.
Okay, well that makes sense, because I think the plane we were physically
plane almost.
Yeah. You might, how old that was? Well, you look at what we're like. There was one part why I wanted to lower the window down to get some footage, and he goes, "Yeah, you can do that. Good luck to your camera."
Right? Yeah.
It was a good time though, Dennis. It was a really good time, but I think Andy really enjoyed it because he was able to test all this new recreational barrel work gear that he had created, and he was in his element doing that. I had the 2 courier pack. It was like a Voyager pack, but with 2 layers. I really didn't get it at first, because it's like, okay, but it you really need to know how to use a tump for it. And that helped me, because I'm not good with weight. I'm actually not a strong person. I wasn't in shape at all at the beginning of this trip. I am now, but it was by day 9 I finally, I can click these things together, put it up, and I'm gone. Before that, I wasn't doing well, and He had, what did he have? He didn't have the expedition. He had the smaller pack. I get them all wrong. The tripper.
You carry all the weight.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I tell you, he carries weight. So when we put our gear on the weight scale to get on the plane, I forget, but it was over 200 pounds. And the guy kind of looked and he goes, "Yeah, overweight." And we're like, we don't have a bunch of beer. We just have packs. And Andy loves his luxury, and he can carry the weight. Like, he's a strong guy. I can't. His chair, I swear, weighed 5 times as much as the tent I brought. I go, well, I don't care.
One of those regular folding.
I don't know. It's one of the, like, yeah. And I go, like, I don't really care how much it is as long as you carry it. And if you die, then the pack stays with you, because I can't take both of you out. But yeah, when we got to the canoe, and for me to take his pack out, no, they had to take it out. And then even at first, because I'm out of shape too, he would have to put the pack of the harness on me, and then I would go. After a while, in fact, I was quite proud of myself. I think the last few days, I just wing it on my shoulder like no tomorrow, right? So that was good for me, especially a 6-year-old guy.
Well, you know what? You've always got that trip memory now. That's something pretty amazing that nobody else is doing. So you've got one under your belt that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I truly saw true wilderness, and we were so blessed in this country. Absolutely blessed to be living in Canada. We really are. To be flown over a landscape for over 2 hours and see nothing except like bog and spruce and all that, and nothing except that, and wildlife, and hope maybe you'll see a wolverine. A good chance you will, but who cares? Yeah.
Any animals you see out there, they've certainly never seen human presence, right?
No, and there was no phobia. Like, we're lucky to cut all those portages and not have a bear issue, because really, like, we made noise while we're doing it. And we did all the proper things. There was one night though. Oh, Dennis, like, okay, so the one night where we're cutting portage, and he goes, "Okay, we need to get campsite. It's getting dark," and we see this pond of nothing and this little hump. You have to be in that landscape. That's what you're looking for. It's just this hump.
Yeah.
We can put a tent up there. We can't put a tent anywhere here, but we go over, and Andy goes, "Okay, go up and check." Check. I look, and there's a hump we can put a tent on. Fantastic. But right beside it, all the sphagnum moss and caribou moss have been torn apart, like for probably like 6 meters or more. Right? I went, well, did a bear do this? Did a wolverine do this? Like, I don't get this. And I know my science. I'm thinking, well, a bear is looking for ants, but there's no ants here. Like, that's not an anthill. I don't. Andy, we're good.
We're good. We're taking the spot.
So we put the tent up right beside this mound, and I thought it was just for one night. It's just for one night, right? And so we get in a tent, and we're there in the tent, and it's midnight, and it's cold outside. So I don't get it, but there's these flies buzzing, and you can hear zzz, zzz, zzz. And it's the flies that hang around meat, like dead meat, like the big bolt flies, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not good. I don't like this, but it will be gone in the morning, no problem. Well, sure enough, no, we go to cut the trail. We're not done, so we have to go back. Oh, another night. No, that's not good. Zzz, zzz. And I go back to relieve myself, and there's 2 piles of fresh bear poop. I went, oh, I don't want to be here. And then. Oh, that's not good. And then we go to finish cutting the trail, and we got stormbound for quite a while, and we got to spend one more night, 3 nights on that spot, like zzz, zzz, zzz. And well, I mean, we didn't die. It was fine. I found out later. Andy talked to a biologist he knew, and he claims otters do that. They dig up that area. So he goes, it wasn't a bear, it was an otter. So, but yeah.
But you didn't find a carcass. So.
Well, they didn't find our carcasses. So.
Wow. I'll have to say that trip kind of certainly blows away my 4 adventures that I had this year, but except for one, I think.
Well, then let's go to you. What'd you do?
You know what? I was actually really surprised with as busy as our summer was, and that this actually helped make it that much more busy. I did get out 4 times. got an early season with my buddy Jay, who you've met. We just did Naganosh, really early in the season, and really enjoyed that because we went deep all the way down to Mud Lake.
Oh,
Right.
good. Yeah.
So we went deep into Naganosh, and it was pretty awesome because we've seen more wildlife on this trip than I've seen probably in the last 10 years of canoeing. We've seen on two different occasions, one like a wolf on two different occasions.
Wow.
Um, we've seen a white-tailed deer at the shore. We've seen a bear, and we actually watched him for like 10 minutes. Just foraging on the shore. You had no idea we were there. Beavers, otters, heard the wolves howling. It was a really nice trip. It was something that was really, like I say, just for the wildlife experiences. And we were only in there for what, 3 days? Yeah, 3 or 4 days. So
yeah. I like that area. I'm surprised this year. I'm pretty sure next year it'll become a managed park. I think it'll have to start paying for it. So
I hope not.
Well, it's good and bad. I mean, it's close to Toronto. It's busy, and it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, I last time I was there, which was last year, was I noticed even outhouses or thunderboxes that the government had put there, and signs that they put there. So that's a sign, right?
Yeah. We camped on the little campsite there, right at the entrance to Mud Lake. You probably know the campsite. It's a nice little island campsite. Just on the back side of the island, you can see there's like a cabin back there.
Yeah, Is that the one you stayed at when you went there? Who put their hook through their thumb?
That was me. That was through my fingers. But it wasn't that campsite. No,
okay.
Right, but yeah, no, this campsite was really well maintained. There was a picnic table there. Some people like picnic tables.
That spot. Yeah.
And but somebody actually took the time. They put a couple of buckets there for dousing fire, and they had a shovel there to to make sure you put your fire out, right? And I thought that was really nice. It was a cool little campsite. We had some really good fishing too, so that was all right. But the highlight of my summer was I actually got to take my grandson and my son-in-law out on their first canoe trips. We went to just QE2, went into Head Lake up to Fish Hog Lake, and we went on the weekend, but we went later into the weekend. So we got there, we had a hard time finding a campsite, but we ended up finding one by the second portage on Fish Hog, like not the one coming into Fish Hog, but the one going out of Fish Hog. And my grandson absolutely loved it. The whole time he was like right into it. He's throwing rocks in the water. He wanted to fish. He wanted to swim. But our first night there, we got settled in, and we turned in early because we had driven through the night to get there. And I'm laying in my hammock. My son-in-law, my grandson are in a tent with the dog. And we hear this boat come up to the camp. Motor dies. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe some fishermen, right? And then I hear, hey, up there on the shore, anybody up at the camp? So I'm in my hammock. I go, yeah, well, what's up? He goes, I thought you might like to know. He says, you got a bear just right beside your camp here.
Really?
We had a bear right up. So right away, I'm up. My son-in-law's up. My grandson's already out cold. And we go out there, and I go, where's the bear? And he says, well, see that bush right there? He says, I'm looking at the bear. It was just behind this bush, which was,
oh man,
maybe 30 feet from the camp, right? The bear wasn't interested in us. I think the boat, maybe he took off. So my son-in-law was a little, I don't even know the word. He was a little uncomfortable. He says, it's getting dark. He says, we can't even leave. I go, no, we're not leaving. We're not going anywhere. We couldn't hang our food. No place to hang the food, right? So I put the food barrel down by the canoe, which it was kind of there anyways. And we had the no bug zone set up. And I said, you know what? You jump back in the tents. I'm going to stand guard. I'll keep an eye on the food barrel. And if the bear comes, I'll scare him away, right?
Yeah.
And I was up until midnight. And I thought I heard something over by the food barrel. So I turned on my flashlight, which is really bright. I got this like 2 million lumen. It's a really bright light anyways. And I turned that on and woke the son-in-law up again. And he goes, so something out there? No. I said, nothing's out there. He said, I'm going to bed. This bear's not coming back, right? So I did. I turned in, and that was that for that. So that was a really cool experience. But the whole highlight was my grandson catching 2 largemouth bass, about 2.5 to 3 pounds by himself. The kid's 3 years old.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And he's sitting in a canoe, and I got the footage, and he's reeling it in on this little dinky fishing rod, like a little, It looks like a nice fishing rod. And he's like, I got him, guys. I got him. He's a big one. He's reeling in, and he was tickled pink, and then he almost tipped the canoe. And yeah, that was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Forget about Pasquay adventures and stuff like that. That trip there is real. And oh man, I'm so glad, because I remember you telling me you were going to take him out, and you think of the progression, because I remember when he was born, you're all excited, and then you can't wait to take him out, and then you did, but then it worked out. Like he enjoyed himself. Number one, caught fish. Number two, well, maybe number one for catching fish. But yeah, and he wants to go back again.
He does. He every time he sees me, he's Papa, we go on vacation. I want to go on vacation. I want to go canoeing again, right? So
yeah.
He was a perfect little man too. Eh? Like you'd expect any little kid to be like bouncing around in a canoe, and he sat on my backpack right in the center of the canoe, and I give him a paddle to hold, like a shorter Hunter and Harris paddle that I had for back when I had my Swift canoe there, and he's like trying to paddle and stuff, and he was perfect. He was absolutely perfect. And it was like it couldn't have been a better trip. Yeah,
that's awesome.
A lot.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, you remember your first trip with Kyla?
Oh yeah. I
remember you hold on to, right? It's
we went to, it was Chinakuchi. Well, her very first trip, she was a baby. Like a few weeks old. We went into Anstruther. No, not Anstruther. Sorry, Wolf Lake. Just to say that we could do it. Like just to get, because she was crying all the time, like, we'll get a school. And we actually also did a lot of, after that, car camping at Silent Lake, but her very first big trip was Chinakuchi into Chinakuchi Lake, did a loop through there. And then Scotland, we went across northern Scotland when she was 5. And I remember worried about her, and she was worried about me because it was raining, and I didn't know anything about Scotland. And she goes, "We're not made of sugar, Dad. What's wrong with you?" And I got that on film too. I was like, okay. But I think she was 8. I think she was younger than 8. But we went across Algonquin from Minadawan Lake all the way to to Crush Lake. So we went right across Algonquin for 12 days. And and she remembers that. In fact, the cool thing is, like, third year university now, and talking to her and her roommates have now figured out my Instagram and my YouTube channels, and now they figured out videos of her. And she was, Dad, my roommate's Dad. And but they're all excited, and they want to go canoe tripping and go canoeing, right? So because of that, and then she goes, "Well, I can take you guys." So it's progressed. So I have no issues with my daughter not going out with me now, because it's not cool. I mean, later on in life she will, but for her to change that and have her courage, and not, I wouldn't say courage, but character to say, "Hey, I can help out with this," and then take them out where they've never been in their lives, right? Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. So yeah, your grandson's going to do the same thing, man.
Oh yeah. He's already liking it so much. So we're already planning for next year. I got the new son-in-law and his son that come along as well. Mason, who's 10 years old. So I'm looking forward to getting him out as well. And then of course the youngest grandson, who's 2 years old. So we're going to try and incorporate all this into some sort of adventure next year. Make a long weekend and just go splat. And it doesn't have to be a big trip. Like I said, we went to QE2 and it was perfect, right? So.
Oh yeah, like actually, when I actually had to come my way instead of the Kawarthas, and I said, "Well, I'm near Crotch Lake, so we went North Crotch for this fishing contest." And he goes, "This is amazing, Kevin. This is amazing. You have this lake right near you?" I went, "Yeah," and I went, "Yeah," but I go, "Hey, actually, we know all the Kawarthas, Kawartha Highlands, and everything else, and the Haliburton Highlands." She goes, "Oh yeah, we've done that. It's good. So it's a new adventure, right? And also Christine's grandson Jude. So how old is he? He's 3 yet, but anyway, we babysit him.
He's about the same age as my youngest grandson.
Okay, yeah. And so we take care of him, and I think they probably laugh at this, but I'm like, I throw them right into it. Like that's the way I was brought up. And so instead of him watching his shows, whatever, not that he does that a lot, but I flipped my canoe up in the backyard, and I got a fishing rod. And then Christian goes, well, we should get one of those kiddie rods. No, he's not getting a kiddie rod. No, he's old enough to have good. And the kid knows he's listening, right? So I remember doing this, with your kids. So my dad did this with me. So I tied a bolt, like a nut and bolt, or no, it's a nut to the end of the fishing line. And I went, and I showed him how to cast. And I went, okay, I want you to cast and hit that tree. We were out there for over an hour, and then and a storm's coming now. And I moved the canoe like this. So storm's coming now. Start casting with a storm. Ooh, okay, and he calls me Pops, right? He's casting away, and the neighbor's kid was watching, and the neighbor, I don't know the neighbors. I know them now. Whatever. They're like, "Can my kid come over?"
Oh
yeah.
Man,
So you just have to get them out there. It all comes down to just get them out there, and they'll connect. They'll link. They'll fall in love with it. You just have to do that, right? So
that's cool. That's good stuff. Yeah, and then the rest of my trips were just like trips. We did. Jay and I did a week up in Algoma. Went up to Rocky Island Lake, and it was a no portage trip, and we explored the whole lake. We did the whole outer loop. Camped at 4 different campsites in the week. Had some layover days to do some good fishing. We're windbound a couple days, and that was fantastic, man. We drove right into Rocky Island Lake through this dirt road from Abbey Lake. No, not Abbey Lake.
That's a rough road. That's a rough road you drove.
Kevin, it took us an hour and 10 minutes to drive 13 kilometers. Yeah, it was a good thing I got a 4x4. I put a couple new pinstripes on the side of the truck,
Oh man, because the only other option you got is to go to the falls and go in from there.
Yeah. So, but that was a good trip too. And then but it was a good summer. Like I say, it was a really good summer. Now you just finished doing this Frontenac challenge. You touched on it a bit at the beginning of the show. It was pretty cool. You did how many trails and how many?
11 loops. I did 2 overnights for it. The last one was pretty brutal. It was 26 kilometers. I could have done that in a day, but my body, I have arthritis and whatever, and I was hurting into it. I don't know why I did it. I moved here and I thought, you know what? I could have done so many things because I didn't have a day-to-day job. I just had the happy camper stuff to do. And why did I go hiking instead of canoeing? I just wanted to do, I don't know. It was almost like Otto Leopold, John Muir, even Jesus Christ did the same thing. They actually went for a walk in the woods to clear their mind and soothe their soul. It's kind of weird I just said that, but it's true. So I did that, and I really enjoyed it. I really hurt afterwards. I'm not into a challenge. Here's a kicker. This is hilarious. So the last one was the slide, and everybody got me so paranoid about the slide. Oh, the slide route, that's tough. It's 26 kilometers, and some people don't make it, and you might not get your badge and your certificate because of that. Still, I was like, I don't really care about getting a badge. So I thought, well, I'm going to do it as an overnight. So I know I can do 11 kilometers. I've done that already, day to day, and so I'll do that as an overnight. So I got my backpack, and I used to take students out for backpacking, and I got my old gear out, whatever, and I kind of like this in the fall, whatever. And then Chris Prouse from Meanest Link, right? Great person. And now that's another story. We actually had barbecue together. Well, some Meanest Link people I'll tell you about. But anyway, so she contacts me and she goes, "Yeah, I did that the other day, and I ran it. I did it in 2 hours."
Ran it in 2 hours.
It took me 15 hours and one overnight to do that trip. I crawled like John Wayne off a horse to my car, like Tim Conway, the Carabinette person, to my car, and I went, "You're an alien. You're not from here. You're an alien. Love you to bits, Chris, but you're an alien. But no, she had a barbecue. Like, she lives down the road from me now. So it was great to move a new area and then you find out, you got good friends around. So she had a barbecue. So for some Meanest Link people got together. Lovely story. So we go for a paddle first. We go to Laredo for a bit. And of course, they're all kind of marathon paddlers, right? For the Meanest Link. And I'm like, I'm not, obviously. And I'm on my own. And I was tired because I'd been doing the hikes during the day for the challenge. So I was like, oh, man, do we really? I just wanted a barbecue. Give me the beer. And so we go out, and they're her and Julia's a kid, Cedar. I love the kid. He's now in kindergarten, I think. He's grown up so much.
Yeah. And
of course, I get him hyper, because I'm like playing around with him, throwing water at him. And Julie kind of looks at me, thanks, Kevin, thanks. And so we had to keep him active. And I go, what do you want to do now, Cedar? He goes, you should race around the island, all of you, and I'll sound the island and judge your racing. And whoever wins gets my tiki toy. So I went, I don't want to really race, Cedar. Sorry, like I'm really not in a racing mood. I'm not. No, tiki toy. Oh, yeah, you're on. I will lose, but you're on. So we're going around the island, and of course they're like, and I'm in the prospector solo, like, la, 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 la. Who really cares? And then I look at the point of land they're going around, and I realize in the inside of the point there's some shallow water. I went, wait a minute, I can go in there, and if I get in there and I actually don't bottom out, I don't have to go around the point. So I did, and I maneuvered the prospector like a dancer on the ice. Right? Yeah. Dancer. And I went around, and I won the bloody race. Right? And I got
some Becky Mason paddling, were you?
Oh, I did. I went, ooh, look at that. And they're like, and I got the tiki toy, and then I gave it back to Cedar because he was upset losing the tiki toy. But it was a great day. I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So you, when you were doing that, Sean Rowley joined you for one of the.
Oh yes. Oh, I need to tell some Sean Rowley stories. Oh, I'll just tell two actually. So he wanted to go canoeing, and and here's the thing too, like Dennis, you and I are going to go canoeing because now I have time to do these things. Like I don't know how many times you and I we were trying to figure out when to go, and Sean too, and so well, I'd love to, but and then but then did have time, but then I took this. I think I told you I got paid. Explorer Magazine paid me to do the hike, right? So and so I Sean, so I'm getting paid to walk. So could we walk? But how about we paddle in to do the walk, and you can join me? Okay, Kevin, no problem. And so we did. And by that time I had done half the routes. So I have this mindset of how to do that, because you would do 15 to 17 kilometers a day, and you had to do it to win this freaking challenge thing. And he came in like la 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 la, and which is great. And Sean, like that man talks more than I do, like 10,000 times more. Right? And he's hilarious. So we're on the trail, and he's laughing, but he really loves his black and white photography. So he would stop and get some photos, and which is lovely. But I'm thinking, sorry, Sean, but like it's getting the problem with the fall is it gets late really quickly. So we had a paddle in, and then we couldn't get our site right away because someone was on it already. So we ditched our boat in the bush. So when we did get back, when we find the boat and the stuff, go to the site and still set up. So I'm thinking we really need a boot. And we did 2 loops that day. And so I was tired at the end too, because I got wobbly boots. My vertigo kicked in. I fell over. I cracked my knee, whatever. Anyway, it was one of those trips. We finally get to the campsite. We got half hour to set up camp. And then we do. And he goes, okay, I think I made dinner. I forget who made dinner. Oh yeah, I did. I made OGM or OMG meals.
OG,
yeah. It was great. It saved our butts. And then OTG. I was getting them stuff. Good meals. And so he makes a drink. This is the kicker. Okay. And Sean, if you're listening to this, I'm telling you exactly what happened. Okay. You can go on and on. I'm telling you right now. He made.
Wait, let me call Sean. I'll make sure.
Oh yeah. He will listen. Oh my Lord. And so what happened was he made this drink called the Sean Sunset, right? And it was tequila and Tang. So I got my can mug, which is like a good volume mug, and his too. He got a Mickey of tequila, poured half the Mickey in mine, half the Mickey in his, and put Tang in it. I went, no bloody way. I walked all day. I got wobbly boot, fell over. I like my scotch, but I'm not drinking that. And he goes, oh, no, this is good for you. I went, no, it's not good for me. I remember high school. This is not good for me. So I did. And Sean doesn't know this part of the story. So Sean, you now do know now. So I took 2 gulps of it and realized what was going to happen to me. And I poured it into the sands of the earth to mix in with the ticks that are in front neck, mixed it all around. And sure enough, it doesn't matter. I still fell over when I went to bed. Like I don't get inebriated. I think I've told this before. My daughter's never seen me inebriated. Last Sean, I literally went to my bed trying to find the tent.
Oh, really?
Oh, I said, whoa. And then we get up in the morning and he goes, see, tequila doesn't give you a hangover. I went, I don't really understand what you're getting. I guess it doesn't because it's from a plant, whatever. And yeah, whatever. I still didn't want to do that. And then he makes a really hearty breakfast, great guy. And he serves Tang for breakfast. I went, I'm going to vomit. Yeah. A good guy to be with. I really enjoyed being with him. I've traveled with him before. Here's the thing too about life. I've traveled with all these people. I see everybody at the shows, whatever. But it was so nice to actually sit around the campfire with someone, or spend some time on the trail with them, and really get to know them, and even them to get to know me, because really, like, you know, they know me from the shows. That's not really me. Well, it is me, but yeah. It was
I've
good.
seen the serious side of Kevin. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
You remember that? You remember that?
Oh yeah, that's right. I know. Oh man.
Yeah. No, you know what? I've spent time with Sean Rowley there and his wife at Canoehounds.
He's a saint.
Years ago.
He's a
great
saint.
guy. We went to an Oompa bar, a German restaurant there. Enjoyed some polka music and ate our bratwurst and all that stuff there.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It was a fun time. But he is a funny character. He can make anybody laugh.
Oh man, yeah. It's a good canoe community because you know all these people and it's fantastic to get to know them all more. So yeah, it was so funny though when Sean just stopped to take one more photo and I went, we were going to not make it here. And he was more prepared than I was. So I go, I didn't even bring a flashlight. Oh, I got that. I got this, Kevin. I got this. We would have been fine, but yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's cool that you guys actually got out there. He even made it to your yard sale, did he not?
Oh, everybody made to my yard sale. Like, that yard sale. Christine said, "Did you think through this?" No. And someone, 2 companies actually tried to set up a chip truck at my yard sale because there's that many people there.
Come on, really?
I'm not making that up.
A chip truck.
Yeah, and my neighbors, because they didn't really know what I did for a living, because they knew I taught, but that was it, right? They're like, "What is going on?" So, well, I have a fan base, and they're all coming here to buy some stuff, and it's a good deal, and I need to get rid of some stuff. I didn't get rid of everything. I just got rid of like stuff that I wasn't ever going to use. Throughout the years, I did all those morning shows too, so they would give me gear, and I would show gear. I would test gear for Explorer magazine. Really, so you know, and I literally gave stuff for like $1 to. I think the most expensive gear was like $10, but then I had also some books. I collect books, right? And then Sean wanted to get those books. He collects books, yeah. And so he decided to be a volunteer, you know, at my yard sale. I'll come and help you out, Kevin. Yeah, no, he did not come to help me out. He came to get my books. But the fun thing is, I didn't get rid of my good stuff. I just got rid of random things. But I think I made $1,500 in an hour and a half.
And a killer fishing rod.
Yes.
Salt in the wound. Oh, geez.
Mr. McBride. He'll never.
You know, it's funny you say it because I got a friend here. You've heard of the fisherman I tell was Bignan?
Yeah.
I tell. So he used to live down here in Welland, and he moved a few years ago. I think he went out sort of like out your way actually, what's Bay of
Quinty.
Bay of Quinty area. But he knows a good friend of mine who actually just moved out east. But anyways, he gave the task to my buddy Jeff to liquidate all his fishing stuff that he had. Like he had storage containers of like fishing rods, lure, like you name it, fishing, he had it, right? And we're not talking like 10 fishing rods, we're talking like 450 fishing rods and reels, and so yeah, he had this big sale and he was selling all this stuff off, and the people come out of the woodwork for this stuff, right?
Oh yeah. It's so funny too, because what happened was I didn't advertise. Well, I advertised on social media to my social media, but I put one sign up in the corner of Bridgenorth in the morning, and then literally an hour and a half, everything was done. Everything. I had 7 items left, and I gave that away to Valley Village. But it wasn't camping stuff. It actually was my wedding china. And yeah, like, well, so these other people, random people, come up and looking for the art. So I went, no, sorry, it's all gone. They're like, what? What do you mean? Well, no, it's all gone. And I was so glad that happened, because I didn't not knocking those people up, but I didn't want those people to get my stuff. I wanted the canoe group to get them. Like I had Grow Guide leaders show up, and I literally gave them stuff for nothing. Like, so here's a whole bunch of Eureka tents for whatever. And it made my day. And I had a hard time getting rid of them. It's like, okay, this is over. Like, get out of my lawn.
That's funny. Yeah, well, you know what? You can't take it with you, as they say, right? So that's
yeah.
So what do you got coming up over the rest of the fall season? Anything else planned?
Yeah, I do. I've got a whole bunch of things. I've got a job in Sudbury. I'm going up to the film festival this weekend, working there. I've got a bunch of presentations to go back to some of those high schools I taught at, or colleges I taught at, but they're paying me on my own, so not through the college. I'm doing workshops for Frontenac Outfitters and also for the Canoe Museum. And also I've just finished, and it's going to print soon, the kids book on young Paul going out with high anxiety into the woods on a canoe trip with Uncle Roy, and all the camp critters help Paul deal with the high anxiety. And then at the end of the kids book, he enjoys being out there. This will be amazing. It's an amazing project. I'm working with illustrator Cliff, not Cliff, illustrator, a young guy I know, and working with that. And I'm self-publishing that. It went through my publisher and they declined, and I went through Scholastic and all the other publishers, and they declined, and their answer was, not knocking them, but their answer is, we don't get this marketing thing that high anxiety time in nature cures that. We don't get that. I went, good. Then I'm doing it on my own, because I'm telling you right now, even if it is not a bestseller, I'll do this before my grave. So, but Cliff's illustrations are amazing. So you'll see this in a few weeks. I'll show some examples on social media. We just got to get it out, hopefully to get it out before all the shows. I got all the shows organized for the Toronto show. I'll be there longer this year instead of one day, because I was always too busy working. I'm there for the whole time. I'm at Canoe Copy the whole time. And yeah, but a whole bunch of things. But I also got a whole bunch of, I'm going to really sharpen up my YouTube stuff. I do more and more stuff because I have time to do that. I have fun with that. And
I think teaching was cramping your style, man.
No, it wasn't. I love teaching. I actually really like, yeah, it didn't cramp my style, but at the same time, I needed a reason to move on, and they gave me the reason. They screwed the environment. I'm sorry, but my dad always told me not to burn my bridge. But I'm telling you right now, after 35 years, I looked at what they did. Well, what a couple people did. They cut all the environmental programs. They cut the conservation officer program. They cut the environmental assessment programs out. All for what? For the almighty dollar. And so we're screwed. You think that actually we're okay protecting the wilderness and whatever, but now we're in more danger than ever, because if the education system is saying we don't need it, good God. So then a whole bunch of my fan base said, well, then you be the education system then, Kevin. And that's a lot of pressure, but I'm thinking, well, I could do a little bit of it and keep going. I mean, I can't retire because I don't retire. I work for myself. So
Yeah. Tim from Super Good Camping was asking, are you thinking of coming down to the Hamilton show?
I am probably going. I didn't know about the Hamilton show. Andy is recreation bear.
Yeah.
He's going to be. Novercraft's going to be there too. I didn't know. I didn't knew nothing about it. And they
it's a new show. It's just one day. It's a smaller show, but they're doing some good promotion of it there. I'm looking forward to going myself because the Boys and Kid products are going as well.
Oh, are they really? Okay, so
if you happen to come down this way, I know you'll probably, if you go, you'll end up with Andy or something. But I got a bedroom upstairs for you and Christine if you guys want to.
Well, the great thing, my daughter is at University of Hamilton, right? So I think I'll pick her up and then we'll harass everybody.
There you go. Yeah,
that'd
be incredible. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it'd be good if that show really gets on. I think actually that show will do well because you have David that had his Wilderness Symposium and Summer Symposium, and then that's no longer. So those people are going to be looking for something to do, right? So yeah,
and they got some. Tori Baird's going to be there. Karina from Lexus Outdoors is going to be there.
Adam Schultz is going
to be there. Yeah. So they got a few good names coming in there for little powwows.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be a good time. And then we got the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show coming up. I won't be doing Canoecopia this year, I don't think. I think I'm going to do the Quiet Adventure Symposium this year instead.
That's good show. Yeah, you'll enjoy that. Well, go with Sean and I. Maybe not. Good Lord, you think I talk like you?
That would be a road trip. If I went, though, I'd probably catch a ride with Ingo and the boys from Kid Products. Right?
Oh, thanks a lot, Dennis. You're a true friend. Thanks a lot for helping me out there. Now I got to be.
I could kidnap you. We go over for dinner that night there or something. Yeah,
that's a blast. We go to dinner with Cliff. Now, Cliff Jiggison's last show at Canoecopia is this year. He's retiring.
Yes.
Well, he always says he's going to retire, but supposedly he's going to retire. So if you're going to Canoecopia and see a show, you might want to see him and I are going to be on stage together, debating about things. I will lose. I'm Canadian, but
Brad Archer's asking when the Hamilton show. I believe it's in January.
It's 3 weeks before the Toronto show, or 2 weeks before the Toronto show.
Yeah. So
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, and Tim is saying we need to set a meetup after the Hamilton show. Of course, got to do dinner there, right?
Oh, man. Oh, there. Someone. One of those Canoe Associations sent January 25th. There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. See, what a great crowd. Hey, who needs to do the research? We got great viewers like this, so that's all good stuff. Well, man, you know what? It's been a fun night. Unless you got some more anything else good to share with us, like
I don't know. Oh, no. One last thing that will just blow your mind. And then we'll end it. Imagine this. I just blow your mind. Imagine this. I was going through, I wouldn't call it turmoil because actually I dealt with it a lot better than I thought. But here's a college I've been working at for 35 years saying, okay, well, we're going to get someone else. The same week, Sioux College asked me to be the keynote speaker at the graduation. And that's where I went to school.
Yeah.
And I went, that's serendipity, that is. And I went, really? Because I was the worst student in the world there. I wasn't a good student. I was a dreamer, right? And I'm thinking, okay, yeah. And then they phoned me a couple of days later and said, how about this, though? It'd be great that you were the keynote speaker for the Parks and Rec people, the outdoor education people, the forestry people, because that's what I graduated from, Fish and Wildlife people. But how about you do all graduations, like for the nursing, the business, the heavy equipment guys, so you're there for the whole week, and we'll pay you. Well, how much? Okay, I'm in. So I go there, and I'm there for the week, and you'll love this story because what happened was I went, oh gosh, this is a different crowd for me because the crowd is administrators and that sort of thing, right? Not the audience. The audience are students and parents, whatever. But the people are asking me are these college administrators, and I don't really get nervous in front of a crowd. But this is not a canoe crowd. This is not Canoecopia or the Toronto show. I was like, so I go to Talese to buy some ties and shirts. I spent $26 and I got 4 ties and 4 shirts. And I tell my daughter, and she goes, "Dad, you're going to be wearing a gown. Have you ever been at a graduation before?" I went,
Yeah, yeah.
"Well, actually, no, because I never went to my graduation when I graduated from college. So no." She goes, "They will never know what you're wearing." So I go up there, and I got even more nervous for that. And then I get there, and I meet, the dignitaries, and they have to go over my speech. And I'm the keynote, and it's not a keynote there. I forget the term for it. So you have to motivate the troops, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to touch on being yourself, never be anybody except yourself. I forget there was 4 things I wanted to make sure that they got in mind, right? And it was in the speech, and the president looked at the speech. Okay. And then I went, and I had to go for a walk. Again, go for a walk. So I went in a walk in the woodlot that I used to go back and walk in when I was high anxiety going to college. That was 1983, right? Oh, Christine's home right now. The dogs are barking. Christine, I'm on the Dowson.
I'm on the air. I'm on the air.
I'm on the air. We're live.
Yeah.
I'm telling you a really good story. Anyway,
Hey, it only happens on live TV, right?
Angel's very excited. Angel needs to go out. I couldn't go out because I'm on the show. Okay. Hope you had a good time at the show. Yeah. Okay. So what happened? Shh. So what happened was, I'll make this really quick now. So I on the way in at the entrance, they had a thing set up, which is really good at this college. They had a First Nations smudge patch. So you go in there and do a smudge or put tobacco in, and there's an elder there. And so I meet him, Greg or Craig, meet him, and Tim at the other, and just chat with them for a bit and do the smudge. And we chat about the North, and they chat about canoe trips, and I chat about canoe trips, and I walked away. I'm quite relaxed. So I go in for my first of many presentations for that week, and there's like a lot of people, like hundreds of students, right? And it's a big thing, right? And we get there, and they do all their speeches, and I got to say, lovely people, really dry speeches, like oh man. So when I turn to get up, that speech never came out of my pocket. I got up on the stage and I said, well, post-secondary education, never thought I would need it. I thought it was a waste of my time. Because I was in high school and I was in a band, a punk band, an all-female punk band called Santa Syphilis.
You're proud of Santa Syphilis.
Oh, if you watch the video of me speaking, you can see the president behind me, like what is that is not in the speech. And I tell stories about when I thought I made it big and on TV, and the male host took up the device that called the Whiz Easy, and he blew it, and I said, it's a whistle, give it a try, and who cares, and it's all to do with be yourself, always be yourself, right? I didn't care if he actually didn't like me, and then ended up that I got enough money in 2 weeks to actually have enough money for Callan to be born through oh my Lord, what's it called?
College, university.
No, when you couldn't have a child, you had to actually in vitro.
Oh, in vitro.
Yeah, so I got enough money to have Callan born, and it just came out of my head, right? And of course, the nursing students loved it, and I talked about business and how this is how I made a living, being out the doors for business, all these things. So the next day, I thought, I'm out of a job. They're going to tell me to go home. I mean, they're paying me to be here for the week. And it was like the comedian that's like, no, you're gone. And so they all gather together. We get our gowns on, and they all gather. What story are you going to tell today, Kevin? So every day when I give a speech, it wasn't the same speech. It was always a different speech. And I would go to the elders, and I would talk to the elders, and we talk about different things, about times in the woods with me, and how that transitioned my life, and how that progressed my life and everything else. And they're like, go for it. And stories came out of my head for the whole entire time. And I'm driving home. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding. I went back to the college that I didn't do very well with in 1983. And then now, best-selling author, whatever, came back to that college and knocked the socks off them by being myself. Right. And oh man, and when you do that, that empowers you beyond belief, because it was nature, time and wilderness that made that transformed that high anxiety kid to actually be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was awesome. How is what did you go see? Oh, Christine got her hair cut today, by the way.
We live in time.
We can't hear you. You have to come over and.
We live in time.
What?
We live in time.
Can you hear that?
You live in time.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hello there.
We live in time.
How you doing, Christine?
I'm good. How are you, Dennis? Welcome back, Dennis.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to see you.
She went out for the night. I took care of the dogs. Well, I really didn't. I just talked to him all night.
No, oh, you talked to all these people. We've had we got 117 people in the chat right now. It's been a fantastic night. Yeah, it's a nice welcome back party. How's that?
That's true. Okay, well, cheers on that. I'll let you go. But wait, welcome back. And yeah, I know it's tough doing all this. Well, I don't do it. You do it. But we're behind you. And keep it going as long as you can. But if you can't, we'll all continue doing something. And we'll curse you now and then. We'll say, where did that Dennis guy go?
Well, you know what? It feels good to be back. It really does. I in the off season, I really do miss it. And like I say, it's going to be a modified schedule this year, but we are back, so it's going to be good times.
That's good. That's good. Well, we got to get through the winter somehow.
You know it, man. Kevin, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Like I say, I unofficially, you're my co-host, dude. And it's always fun. So you always lighten up the show, and everybody appreciates that. So I appreciate you being on with me, and the friendship going. It's always good.
Okay, so who's next? Who are you having on next?
Well, I've been talking to somebody, but I've tried to get him on the show for next week. Oh, we'll talk in the green room, because I don't want to make any promises yet. But
okay,
there may be a show next week. If not, it'll be probably 3 weeks before my next show, because like I said, I'm going to see Mickey Mouse.
Oh, that's right. Well, why don't you get Mickey Mouse? Why don't you bring your camera and your audio with you?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I could do it from their Thunder Mountain Railway.
Why not?
The outdoor thing, right? Or
yeah.
Animal Kingdom. Yeah.
Life is an adventure.
You know it. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. See you in the green room here in a short moment.
Okay. Bye. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Here we go, man. That's episode 160 some odd in the book there. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in tonight. You know what? It's great to see you all these all your names in the chat over there. Many of you I know personally. Thanks very much for popping in. It really does mean a lot. As I mentioned, follow me on Facebook at Canoehounds Outdoor Adventure Show, and that's where I'll be letting everybody know what shows are coming up and stuff like that. So we'll try to stay on top of that. Or, of course, you'll see it on Instagram, and then, of course, when we post right here on YouTube. So we're going to try and keep things going. But the one thing that I still do ask all of you, please, if you have ideas or you have somebody that you'd like to see on the show, please do drop me an email at canoehound@gmail.com. I think that's, will that come up? Yeah. canoehound@gmail.com. I still answer all my emails that I get from everybody, and it's always a good time to connect with people. If there's anything you'd like to know, or if you do have suggestions for show ideas, or I don't know if I'm going to do the birthday thing again this year, but you know what? If you got a birthday coming up, or a loved one, or an anniversary, or a happy divorce anniversary, or whatever it might be, it's something you want to share with everybody, please do let me know. We'll probably get into announcing more upcoming shows as far as like trade shows, outdoor events, and things like that on the show as well. So yeah, these are all the cool things that we want to try and take care of this year, and we can't do it without your help. So by all means, please do reach out to me at any time that you can. Anyways, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. Episode 1 of season 6 is in the books. And remember, everybody, please do keep the adventures alive. Have a good one. Cheers. Am I still on?